Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about DayZ's biggest update yet, and also the third map, the paid expansion happening for all of us on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation coming up October 15th, 2024. And yeah, I gotta tell you, the Frostline expansion DLC, the paid DLC that's happening, is crazy awesome. It's super hard, so definitely if you want the challenge, it's a thing. And right now there's an early access program going on for streamers, and then it's going to lead right into the release on October 15th for everyone. So don't worry, even though this is on PC right now, this is functionally the same thing for us on PlayStation and or Xbox. So don't even sweat it. I mean, there's some minor differences, but we're going to get all of these things. Now, even if you don't get Frostline, the update is still massive for everyone, for all three maps, for DayZ in general. 1.26 is big. It brings in lots of changes and also a new vehicle, a water vehicle, a boat, as it were. And it does tie in pretty heavily to this map here because it is a collection of islands. The fancy word would be archipelagos. And as you can see, there's ice sheets and it's extremely cold here. So yes, there are places. I kind of see it like this. Remember you go up to Northwest Airfield? Imagine some of these other islands being Northwest Airfield. You have to get there using a boat and you have to stay alive and not freeze to death along the way. So that's the challenge. So I'm going to give you a couple pointers and some of the things that have happened so far in Frostline, and also go over the 1.26 and some of the stuff in the devlog to hopefully give you guys a nice heads up. Also, a good reason to subscribe and turn on those notifications if you're into it. I'll be trying to live stream this as much as possible as we do have the early access. Is that a zombie? And as I said, this is my live one I'm using, so I am trying to keep my character alive, and somebody can come up and murk me at any time, so I hope that doesn't happen. Is it? Okay, that's just part of the ice shelf. So I'm going to try to keep my character good to go here. So off the rip, Frostline is amazing so far. I love not knowing what the map is and trying to sort things out. It is a high level of difficulty, and I'm not even kidding about that. It is a hardcore survival game, first and foremost, but this is like next level. Because this is trying to, like you're freezing to death when you spawn in. So I'd strongly recommend not eating the snow or even boiling it to drink it. You would think that would work, but I think it's got metal poisoning or something. You have to use these tablets. I don't even know how to pronounce that, to clean the water if you're going to drink it. And I think cook from it, because I think I'm getting sick by boiling the fish. Speaking of, if you want to start off, because water is almost impossible to find that's clean, I would say if you boil the fish, you get a lot of food and water. Triple chevrons for both of them. And it's pretty plentiful out here in the ocean. So I'd strongly recommend making one of these improvised fishing poles and going right to the ocean. And to be fair, a lot of times you'll get like a cooking pot out of here if you get like a boot or something. It's all good. So, you know, just make some improvised hooks. I think you can make them out of wood now. And also there's lures that don't take any bait at all, which is fantastic. So if you get like 2-3 fish, you're good to go. Gut them, find your edge weapons, you're good, and try to boil it the best you can. And you're pretty much going to have to sit in front of a fire, and anything you find here that's liquid or even is exposed for a period of time is going to freeze. So you'll have to de-thaw them in front of the fire. That's the thing too. So now imagine all of that and getting in a boat and then having to swim across because you ran out of gas. That's real. That's why my character's so messed up. I literally ran out of gas. But if you are looking to get in the boat, it does need a spark plug. And essentially, if you see that gas thing turn yellow, find the shoreline. Save yourself. I'm telling you. Ring out your stuff. Here's one of the new fish here. And if we have an edge weapon that's not completely destroyed, which I may... Is it almost? Almost. We can cut this up, and then we'll put it in our cooking pot over there. And I think there's caviar that can come out of these sometimes. Obviously, if your hands are dirty, you have to wash them too. Obviously. But I'm telling you, here on Frostline, you need this. Like, I found no other good way consistently to get you like food and water, because I've yet to find where the water is. I heard there's springs and stuff, but anyways, it's been a lot of fun to try to figure out like where things are at and how to like do it. So, all right, so what I'm going to do here is just kind of boil this. Hopefully this makes sense, and then we'll read over some of the stuff that we've done. By the way, there's caves here too, which is crazy. And I also noticed that if you skin the animals and stuff, like the big ones, the bears and whatnot, or the wolves, you can eat them and cook it, but apparently they have a good chance of having parasites. And I didn't know that, so apparently tetracycline can fix that. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you can eat it if you have the meds to counteract its thing. You already know, DayZ is always about like scarcity, so It's definitely a thing. I would say get on that. Okay, I'm going to try to attempt to read the dev blog and do this in real time. So I might get murked. It might happen in the middle of this. So that was a little bit about Frostland. We're going to talk about the 1.2 expansion that's for Chernarus and Livonia. By the way, Livonia was a paid map. It's a part of the base game now. And if you have Game Pass on Xbox, it's a part of all of it. So if you're in the mood for a hardcore survival game, this is it. Livonia is a blast. I love Livonia. All the maps are great, but like Livonia has always been good for you spawn up and down that river, and it's just you have crazy interactions, good or bad, up and down there. And if you want to go deeper, you just kind of go inland, right? But what's cool is you take your characters between any of the maps, and now things are kind of geared towards, you know, one map has a certain type of thing or the other, so you can kind of get geared up in one server or map and then come here, or vice versa if you want to. So it's really nice that the world has been expanding for the people that have the core game, but then also we have this new expansion, which I love because I know nothing about it. Literally, I have just been wiped over and over, and so we kind of figured things out. Okay, I'm kind of waiting for this to boil. Hopefully we don't miss it. Here we go. So the dev blog about 1.26. As we enter experimental period of the massive game update 1.26, we find ourselves at the doorstep of the busiest period we've experienced in years. That's because this game update is coupled with the release of DayZ Frostline. We highly recommend you adding Frostline to your wishlist if you haven't already. If you are on console, obviously Steam wishlist doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but if you're looking for more information and screenshots and stuff, go to that wishlist page, and essentially whatever's in the PC version is in our version. So a lot of those questions can be and will be answered over there on that page. So yeah, even if you don't have a PC, I promise. And don't worry, we still main this over on console, so I cannot wait for this to come over there. I'm kind of waiting for this to boil. Please don't get wrecked. After all this and surviving the ice sheets watch, some guy comes in and goes, friendly, and just pops me in the teeth. We highly recommend adding. Okay, there we go, Steam and Xbox. Make sure to check it out. You can find the patch notes for 1.26. I don't know if I said this or not. I've done like 50 takes, but essentially you can check out 1.26, the new temperature stuff, the new vehicle on experimental branch over there. But it's still all coming to PlayStation on October 15th for everyone. Just want to reiterate that. Okay, still hot, still raw. Just checking, I'm scared. Gameplay. Game Update 1.26 offers gameplay and additions that not only support DayZ Frostline expansion, but will also impact the overall experience of our existing maps. Chernarus and Livonia. As the title Frostline aptly suggests, we've concentrated a lot of work around the temperature systems. As you... Ooh, right on time. So, speaking of temperature system, I'm going to have to take this off the stove and make sure I'm not holding it, and make sure that this cools down so I can eat it. And I hope I cleaned all of this properly. We'll find out the hard way. I had to dry off all my clothes because I was dying. We concentrated a lot of work around the temperature systems. That was a challenge in of itself, ensuring the game systems adapt to a simple challenge in global temperature. We've also rebalanced the ways various elements of the environment have an effect on the player's character, be it from their position or current weather. The progression of the player's character, heat comfort is now always delayed, as opposed to instant. This progression may be noted by one or more arrows at the HUD as the character adapts to the changes in temperature. So you see my thermometer here. I'll put it against a put it against a dark background. That'll go up or down, but I have like a heat buff, those little pluses happening there. So if I wanted to go across the ice sheets now, this would be a good time. I would still get drenched and what have you, but it kind of helps mitigate that damage a little bit before I lose those buffs. So technically in some areas you can go across the ice sheets, but it is very dangerous and it's going to just wreck you up and down because hypothermia is a real deal. Alright, hopefully we get to your bubble here. Progression may be noticed by the HUD. Oh, and also, I told you earlier that when you have a boiled fish as opposed to a cooked fish, you do get the triple chevrons, and it essentially takes care of your water at the same time. If the water is clean, the heat buffer is also known as the plus symbol. Yep, there you go. I already talked about that. When you spend enough time around a heat source is also getting an update to help you visualize its state. This is primarily so no longer looks like it's an on and off bonus, which is actually never a thing. Edible items now have their temperature simulated. They can freeze if the environment temperature is low enough, and they will need to be thawed in order to be edible. To thaw something out, you would essentially just... Is this cooked right yet? Okay, no. Essentially, you would just place them around the fire, and then you'll see them blue, and then they eventually come around. So, it's nice. And if your backpacks are soaked and you can't wring them out, just stick them in front of the fire. Like, literally, I just drop them off in front of the fire. I mean, we came across the ice sheets there after the boat ran out of gas. It was very scary. Da-da-da! Oh, there we go. They can be put on a fireplace or grill or stove, warmed up, and eaten for warmth benefits. Well, those are the edibles. Just make sure to keep an eye on the temperature, as the player character can take damage from consuming items too hot. This is very true. In addition to that, we have changed the temperature badge in the tooltip and replaced it with a simple temperature description. Oh, there we go. Boiling. Thank you. So if I were to hold this in my hand too long, I would take damage. Or if I stick this in my clothes, it's piping hot. Yeah, it's crazy. Let me go ahead and eat this real slow and see what happens. I'll show you that triple chevron. And again, this can be on Chernarus, Livonia, or Frostline. So remember not to eat too much. If you're brand new, do it in, like, you know, cut it up into fourths and kind of eat it and wait for it to go down. If you see the stomach icon, stop. See, triple chevrons. Oops, I'm a little too hot, aren't I? Woo! I really hope nobody comes running in while we're doing this. It's gonna happen. I can feel it. And by the way, since you're gonna be making fires everywhere in Frostline, having the stove, even if you don't have the gas canister yet, is such a big thing. Especially if you fall in the water, because it's essentially waterproof, right? It's your best friend. And clean water is probably the biggest thing, and then having some type of cooking or lighting source, and then your edge weapon. Anyways, I told you I'd ramble a little bit. I'm so scared. Just keep an eye on the temperature gauge as the players take damage from consuming. Tooltip, okay, we already got that. You can see right here. Yeah, you saw it around the fire. If you want to learn more about the systems, check out the dev blog. Speaking of dangers, we've also looked at common cold influenza. We wanted to make sure that the players who took care of their characters would not run into many issues with it, while the ones who continue to ignore it would eventually face the consequences. Though the newly added stage of pneumonia, temporal immunity has also been added to the medical system, which makes an instant reinfection impossible for diseases like the common cold. I still think if you're sick and drink from a bottle, that's still going to pass it to other people, but maybe you can't reinfect yourself. That's kind of what I'm reading. I could be wrong with that, but, you know, one of those things, like if your character's sick, you don't want to be walking around. If you're new to the game, you don't want to be walking in front of your friend and sneezing on them, because it'll transmit it for sure. And you'll be like, why are we getting sick? Because this guy is barfing in my face. A significant change also comes to large predators like bears and wolves, as I stated, whose meat will be infected, more like parasites. Most importantly, it won't be possible to eliminate the infection even after cooking the meat. So yes, all of the meat I ate that was infected was cooked. There's still an option to eat and or cure the disease, of course, but we wanted to make sure that predators who come to the player naturally are not an easy source of food, although there's other ways to get food. Going from Livonia's fairly warm climate to the unforgiving cold of Sakal, which is Frostline, if I'm saying that right, means that you'll have to adapt to the type of gear you wear, or take frequent baths in local ponds. Luckily, changes to the loot distribution will help you, as items are now distributed with the climate in mind. We've also taken a deeper look at the item distribution in Sakal, Frostline, and applied a kind of regional theme to each map. So for some maps, you may have to travel to certain things to get stuff, which is most notable through firearms you'll find lying around. Livonia will primarily host Western-made firearms. Sakal will have mostly Eastern ones, and Chernarus will continue to offer a mixture of both. In terms of spawning, be on the lookout for 2 new small animals roaming around the wilderness. One of them seems to be a rabbit, and whatever that is. Here, let me just make sure we're not getting run up on. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. See, like, okay, now I can put this in my pocket, and this one would be too hot. I'd actually start to take damage. But let me eat this fish, Falachi, and hopefully get some more water. So just so you can see, if you're playing Frostline, and you're like, my water's out of control, that's why. Oh my goodness, I got rid of the sickness. So it was contaminated stuff. Oh my goodness, so it must be lead then. All right, so if you're trying to boil the water, you could boil it and still eat the food. You're just going to slowly be sick. Just make sure you're still fishing. But as soon as you find these tablets, clean the water in there, and you should be good. So, yeah, this new blue bottle is going to be... Whew, dude, we're having breakthroughs while we're doing this. Oh, my goodness. A lot of work's been done around various actions associated features. One of the highlights is the fishing feature, as you saw, which has received a long overdue update. We've changed the simple hold until you catch a fish system to an event-based one. So essentially you hold it and then have to release it when it's done. Where you have to keep an eye on the water and release the action button when the water splashes. If you miss the window of opportunity, you'll have to attach new bait and start again. This is interesting. We've also added a new entry-level wooden hook and a fishing jig. A fishing jig is a lure, essentially, that doesn't require bait, and it lasts a lot longer. So, essentially, just keep fishing until you get a ton of fish, and you're good, right? And just cook it up, which allows you to fish without any baits. Regarding the bait, we've removed the crafting recipe and replaced it with a simple inventory attachment. So, before, to make the hooks, you'd have to do the thing, and it would spin, and then when you attached it, it would charge up the bar again. So now when you have a hook and bait, it just attaches like a gun attachment to a weapon, right? It's nice. It's faster. By the way, another pro tip, some people still don't know this. If you combine two bones together, you make a bone knife. The bone knife combined with bones can make an improvised hook. That improvised hook can be used with a rope and long stick to make an improvised fishing pole, and then you can attach that hook to the fishing pole. But this is primarily a fishing based cities or islands, so you'll find them all over the place, but if you need it, it's there. Bones are actually quite useful, and if you don't want to get your hands dirty, you can always go into the ocean and wash them, but also you can just put on improvised wraps, which take two what are these, cloths or rags, and any edge weapon against any item of clothing will create rags, if you didn't already know. I know we have a mixture of people, so I just want to put it out there. I mean, I gotta tell you, you got big brass balls of steel, or big brass balls, well, yeah, big brass balls of steel. If you haven't played DayZ and you jump into Frostline, I tip my fedora to you. You're crazy, and I like it. There's something outside. We tweaked the force feeding action. Felt it was way too easy to forcibly feed somebody. Stimpy, no. Now we actually have to face a player character. Additionally, the camera movement during the continuous actions has been restricted, as we don't want players to have an easy 360-degree look around. By the way, I think I missed this. Yes, I did. We felt there were quite... What was this? We felt they were quite underused, so a number of changes were made to hunting traps. We've increased the chances of catching an animal, decreased the time it takes to catch one, and made the hunting traps more durable. There's also an audio-visual feedback when the trap is triggered. We tweaked force feeding. Oh, I got that one. Jeez. We've also added that inventory is now missing a rough or precise indicator. Essentially, there was a way like you would craft and get like a better roll on crafting. They took it out because they're going to redo it at some point in the future. They didn't say exactly when. But that's the thing. I'm going to eat this again. Dude, I can't believe it. I got rid of the sickness the first time. I played for 10 hours, and all I did was just vomit. So, yeah, those little blue jars. Oh, my goodness. That's where it's at. I'm going to hide in the corner again. Don't get sick eating the food. And then hopefully I can sign out with it. I do miss my multiple accounts on console. I said it. I said it. I didn't think that was loaded. My bad. Okay. They weren't happy with the design, so they're going to redo it. Fairly substantial change to gameplay 1.26 from a large pass over the inventory cargo sizes of most clothing items. We've been waiting a long time to revisit this topic. We felt the inventory space of the character was just too big. I mean, I never agree with that. I'm a loot goblin. I want to pick up everything. Often resulted in players collecting whatever they find lying around. So now they want to push us towards what you need, and you have to make those choices as you go. Let me go ahead and put this up for a second so I don't accidentally out myself. Did it just... Oh no. I got dropped, dude. Someone got me. Oh, I got knocked out. Okay, hold on. We got to come back. We got to see what happens in real time. I got knocked out. Someone knocked me out. Okay, well, that's most of the changes here. They're basically talking about how the inventory is going to be shifted around a bit to make some more of the changes and whatnot. Man, I shouldn't have shot that gun, right? Oh my goodness. Who got me? Somebody got me. Good. Oh my, I'm scared. Anyway, so hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream / video. I'm glad I was able to talk about the new updates in 1.26. Hopefully this guy survives. I don't know. Maybe not. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.